Welcome back to Stamps Old World UK, the home for every stamp enthusiast who loves exploring the fascinating history behind vintage postage and discovering their current value in today's collecting market. In this episode, we are diving deep into a very special piece of American postal history, the bright red 3-cent commemorative stamp issued in 1948. This stamp was created to honor the centennial anniversary of the American Turners, a cultural and athletic society that dates back to the mid-19th century. Let us take a close look at the story, the design, and of course, the market value of this unique stamp in today's dollars. The stamp itself carries the words U.S. postage right at the top and has the years 1848 and 1948 placed within circular medallions. Between them, we see a flaming torch, which symbolizes enlightenment, progress, and vitality. Beneath that central design is a banner that proudly reads 100th Anniversary of the American Turners. At the very heart of the stamp, we can see the circular seal of the American Turners with a classic Greek discus thrower placed inside, along with the motto, Sound Mind, Sound Body. This was the guiding principle of the Turner movement, a belief that both physical fitness and intellectual development were essential to the growth of a strong and healthy community. Surrounding all of these design elements is a wreath of oak leaves and laurels, symbols of strength, victory, and endurance. Finally, the denomination is clearly marked in bold with the number 3 at the bottom corners, representing the 3-cent postage rate at that time. The American Turners themselves were a group founded in the United States by German immigrants in 1848. The organization was dedicated to physical training, cultural activities, and educational programs. The word Turner comes from the German word turnen, which means to practice gymnastics or physical exercise. The group quickly spread across America and became known not only for promoting athletics, but also for encouraging civic involvement in education. By the mid-20th century, the Turners had left a significant cultural mark on American society, and that is why the U.S. Post Office decided to celebrate their centennial anniversary with this commemorative issue. From a philatelic perspective, this stamp was printed in a striking shade of bright carmine red, and often collectors appreciate its strong color contrast and historical theme. It was issued in very large quantities since it was a commemorative 3-cent stamp, which was the standard domestic first-class letter rate in 1948. That means millions of these stamps were printed and circulated. As a result, most examples that are used or lightly canceled are still relatively common in the market today. However, as always with stamps, the true value depends on the condition, rarity of printing varieties, and whether the stamp is unused with its original gum intact. So let us now talk about the market value of this centennial American Turner stamp. A typical used example of the 3-cent American Turners commemorative, meaning a stamp that has been canceled and served its postal duty, usually sells for around 10 cents to 25 cents in today's collector market. This is mainly because the supply of used examples is quite high and they're easily available. For those who are looking for mint-condition stamp without any hinge marks, with fresh gum and sharp perforations, the value is a little higher, generally ranging from $1 to $2 for a very fine specimen. However, if you are fortunate enough to find this stamp in mint condition, perfectly centered, with bright color and flawless gum, it may attract collectors willing to pay $3 or even slightly more for a top-grade example. However, it is important to note that despite its beauty and its rich historical theme, this stamp does not fall into the category of rare or highly scarce American commemoratives. Its true value lies more in its historical significance and its place in the story of American immigration, cultural societies, and the celebration of health and knowledge. Another factor that can influence the value is whether the stamp appears in a complete plate block of 4 or more with original selvage attached. Plate blocks of this issue are more desirable than singles and can fetch anywhere between $4 and $10 depending on centering and freshness. Collectors of U.S. commemoratives often seek plate blocks to complete their albums, so there's a little extra premium for these multiples. On the other hand, full mint sheets of this stamp were saved in large numbers and can often be purchased in today's market for around $12 to $20 depending on condition. What makes this stamp so attractive is not just its modest value, but the story it tells about the American immigrant experience and the blending of cultures. The German-American Turners contributed greatly to physical education in the United States, establishing gymnasiums, promoting community events, and encouraging people to value both intellectual and physical well-being. The motto, "Sound Mind, Sound Body," continues to resonate even today, making the stamp's message timeless and relevant. So, in conclusion, while the 1948 3-cent American Turners commemorative stamp may not make you rich in terms of dollar value, it's an excellent addition to any thematic collection that focuses on sports, fitness, immigrant history, or American culture. Its average value in the current market is between 10 cents for a used copy and $2 to $3 for a high-quality mint example, with slightly higher prices for plate blocks or premium-graded issues. Collectors should not underestimate this piece, because it represents much more than its modest catalog price. It's a window into a century of health, culture, and community building, all preserved on a small piece of red paper with perforated edges.
Next up, the 3-cent commemorative stamp issued by the United States in 1948 to celebrate the 150th anniversary of the Pennsylvania Academy of the Fine Arts. This is one of the most distinguished American commemorative stamps of the mid-20th century, and it beautifully represents the connection between art, culture, and history. Let us first take a close look at the design of this striking maroon-colored stamp. It features a central image of Charles Willson Peale, the renowned American painter, soldier, and naturalist. He is shown dramatically pulling back a curtain to reveal a gallery of classical sculptures and paintings, symbolizing his role in promoting art and culture in the young United States. The image captures the moment of unveiling art to the public, which was exactly the mission of the Pennsylvania Academy of the Fine Arts, America's first and oldest art museum and art school, founded in 1805. At the top of the stamp, in bold white letters, are the words 3-cent U.S. postage, and beneath that, the inscription commemorates the sesquicentennial of the Academy. The strong detail in the background emphasizes shelves of sculptures, giving the stamp a rich museum-like atmosphere, while Peale himself stands proudly in the foreground, representing both art and education. The Pennsylvania Academy of the Fine Arts was established in Philadelphia and has long been recognized as a cornerstone of American art education. Its mission was to train artists, promote American art, and share European masterpieces with the public. Charles Willson Peale, along with his family, was instrumental in advancing art and science in America. He not only painted portraits of many founding fathers, but also created a museum of natural history and art that became famous during his lifetime. By choosing Peale as the central figure of the stamp, the United States Post Office honored the legacy of both an individual and an institution that had a lasting impact on American cultural identity. From a philatelic point of view, the stamp was issued in 1948, during a period when the standard postage rate for a first-class letter was 3 cents. Like many commemoratives of that era, it was printed in large quantities, meaning that millions were produced and distributed. As a result, the Pennsylvania Academy of Fine Arts commemorative is not particularly rare today, but it remains a favorite among collectors who appreciate art-themed stamps, stamps that feature museums, and those interested in American history. The deep maroon ink and the finely detailed engraving make it a visually attractive issue that stands out in collections from the late 1940s. Now let us turn to the market value of this stamp in today's dollars. A used copy of the 3-cent Pennsylvania Academy of the Fine Arts commemorative is very common and usually sells for around 10 to 20 cents. These are readily available because of the high number of stamps printed and circulated at the time. Mint condition examples, especially those with original gum and no hinge marks, are more desirable and usually fall in the range of $1 to $2 depending on centering and freshness of color. If you are lucky enough to find a stamp in perfect mint condition with flawless gum and sharp perforations, it might bring around $3 to $4 to the right buyer. Collectors should also know that plate blocks of 4 with selvage are more valuable than single stamps. Plate blocks of this issue can be sold for between $4 and $10 depending on quality. Entire mint sheets are also relatively easy to find, but can range from $12 to $20, with premium sheets in pristine condition, sometimes attracting higher prices from specialized collectors. While this commemorative is not rare in terms of monetary value, its importance lies in what it represents. This is a stamp that celebrates the oldest art institution in the United States, an institution that shaped the careers of countless American artists and brought fine art to the American public. The image of Charles Willson Peale unveiling art to the world is not only historically accurate, but also deeply symbolic, as it reflects the moment when America began to establish its own artistic identity. For art lovers, historians, and stamp collectors, this small piece of paper captures a very large story. In conclusion, the 1948 3-cent Pennsylvania Academy of the Fine Arts Commemorative is a stamp that blends art, history, and philately into one. Its current market value ranges from about 10 cents for a used copy to $3 or $4 for a top-quality mint specimen, with plate blocks and sheets carrying slightly higher premiums. But the real value of this stamp is the story it tells about the growth of art and culture in America. It is a wonderful addition to any collection and a reminder that stamps are more than just postage. They are miniature works of art in themselves.
Next up, the most iconic American commemoratives of the mid-20th century, the 3-cent stamp issued in 1958 to honor the International Geophysical Year, a worldwide scientific project that took place from 1957 to 1958. This stamp is not only a symbol of scientific discovery and cooperation, but also one of the most beautifully designed U.S. commemoratives of its time. The design of this stamp is instantly striking. At the very top, in bold white letters, are the words International Geophysical Year, with the years 1957 and 1958. The central image is dramatic and symbolic, featuring two human hands reaching toward each other in a gesture reminiscent of Michelangelo's famous fresco from the Sistine Chapel. These hands represent humanity's quest for knowledge and connection through science. Below them, a fiery burst of volcanic activity symbolizes the immense natural forces of Earth that scientists sought to understand during the International Geophysical Year. The overall imagery captures both the human element of exploration and the raw power of the planet. At the bottom, the denomination is clearly shown as 3 cents, with the words U.S. postage completing the design. The International Geophysical Year was a landmark global scientific initiative. It brought together scientists from 67 nations to conduct coordinated research on Earth sciences. Areas of study included seismology, meteorology, oceanography, geomagnetism, and space science. This was also the period when the first artificial satellites were launched, including the Soviet Union's Sputnik and the United States' Explorer. In many ways, the International Geophysical Year marked the dawn of the space age. It was a project that emphasized cooperation and shared knowledge at a time when the Cold War divided much of the world, and the United States chose to honor this unprecedented effort with this commemorative stamp. From a philatelic perspective, the International Geophysical Year stamp is admired for its modern, almost artistic design. Unlike some commemoratives of the era that focused on portraits or historical anniversaries, this issue embraced abstract symbolism and dramatic imagery to capture the spirit of scientific discovery. It was printed in large quantities since it carried the standard 3-cent postage rate, meaning millions of copies were distributed and used. As a result, it is not considered rare today, but it continues to be a collector's favorite because of its design, its theme, and its connection to one of the most important global scientific collaborations of the 20th century. Now let us look at the market value of this stamp in today's dollars. Used copies of the 3-cent International Geophysical Year stamp are very common and can usually be found for around 10 cents to 20 cents. Mint condition examples, especially those that are never hinged with original gum intact, generally sell for about $1 to $2. If you manage to find a specimen in superb condition, perfectly centered, and with vibrant color, it might command a value of $3 to $4 from collectors who specialize in U.S. commemoratives or science-themed stamps. Plate blocks of 4 are also more desirable and can bring in around $4 to $8 depending on quality, while full mint sheets are still relatively easy to obtain for about $15 to $20. While this stamp is not rare in terms of financial value, its significance lies in its theme and timing. It represents a moment in history when nations around the world came together to study the Earth and the skies, setting the stage for modern space exploration. It also captures the optimism of the late 1950s, when scientific progress was seen as a unifying force for humanity. Collectors of space, science, or Cold War-era themes often consider this a must-have issue because it tells a story far greater than its catalog price. In conclusion, the 3-cent International Geophysical Year commemorative stamp of 1958 is a masterpiece of symbolic design and historical importance. While its market value today ranges from just a few cents for used examples to around $3 or $4 for mint-condition singles, its true worth lies in the story it tells about humanity's quest for knowledge and cooperation across borders. This small piece of paper serves as a reminder of a time when science brought the world together, and it remains a jewel in the crown of mid-20th century U.S. commemoratives. Thank you for joining me here on Stance Old World UK as we uncovered the history and value of this remarkable issue. Do not forget to subscribe for more journeys into the fascinating world of philately, where every stamp is more than just postage. It is a story waiting to be told. Leave a comment below to share your thoughts on this stamp, and let me know which other science or art-themed issues you would like me to feature in future episodes. Until next time, keep collecting, keep learning, and keep enjoying the old world of stamps.